Hi, so welcome to my garage and welcome to about a 30 or 35 minute practice today called Balance Your Breath and Balance Your Tea. So you'll find out a little bit more about what the Balance Your Tea is all about, but it's mostly today moving through some shoulder mobilization, some breath work, and some balancing, and then putting it all together. So we'll start in a seated position. And also for today's class, I'd like you to have a yoga strap or a long scarf or a towel and a book or a yoga block. So hopefully your book's not too heavy. You're not choosing a really thick tome today, but you want to have something that you can balance. If you don't have a block or a book, you can use a kid's toy or even a tennis ball could work. So starting in a seated position, you can choose whatever position you would like. I'm choosing cross-legged today, but you could easily do this from a kneeling position or even sitting down on your couch. So you decide. But so we're going to start, and if you have a long scarf or a strap, you're going to wrap it around kind of your lower ribs, so you're not really up where a heart monitor would go or where your bra strap is, nor your waist. We're somewhere in between. So I will show both versions here, and then you do, so it's not, you don't want to be really constricting, but you don't want it to really move throughout. And if you don't have a strap or anything that you can attach around your body, you make C shapes with your hand, your fingers at the front and your thumbs at the back, and we're just going to try to get a little bit of breath going horizontally versus breath in stressful times, such as right now. Your breath tends to get shallow and it tends to be clavicular, so scalenes, muscles of your above your collarbones tend to be, your accessory breathing muscles tend to get overworked. So we want to get into mobilize the rib cage in between the ribs and also get this motion happening instead of this motion happening. So whatever version you have, either the scarf or the hands, I'll do both. So as you inhale, so I want to have that motion happening, the left to right motion, but also front and back. And then when I exhale, if you've got the feedback of the scarf or the TheraBand, you'll feel a little bit of slack, or you feel the whatever is around your rib cage, you'll feel it slacken as you exhale and your rib cage depresses and contracts. So inhale again. Expand, feel space created in between all those ribs, and as you exhale, you'll feel the muscles of your abdomen, your transverse abdominis, your rectus, your obliques contract, and that will contribute to not only the rib movement, but also to creating a little bit of space between your body and the tactile feedback of the scarf. Next, what we'll do is as you inhale, that expansion that you've just created, so that bigger torso or that bigger container, I want you to contract actively into the scarf. So into the space you've just created with the pressure. It's called a tubular core. Jill Miller from Yoga Tune-Up coined that. And then exhale, release. So one more time, just to really feel what I'm trying to explain. So you inhale, expand, create space, become a bigger version of yourself around your torso, front, back, and sides, and then contract into that, and then exhale. Awesome. So we'll release that and we'll come back to that at the end. So from here, cross your legs, or you can take a seated position with your knees bent and your feet flat on the floor. And then we'll use the hands on the knees to pull us through extension, lifting my chest up, arching or overarching my low back, and then using my hands on my knees, I'm going to pull my pelvis under the posterior pelvic tilt and then move through those two different ones. So moving into more of a lordosis or an extended spine, and then using my hands on my knees to pull myself back again. Do that a couple of times. And then pair or marry your breath with the movement. So as you inhale, you lift your chest up, extend through your spine, and then exhale, contract all around your spine and pull your pelvis underneath you. Good. Next, you can change the position of your legs, however is comfortable for you. I'm going to use my block or something on this side, and then I'm going to inhale. I don't want to collapse too much. I want to keep the front of my rib cage open, and my head can come along for the ride, or I can drop my chin and relax my neck, and I want to breathe into these left ribs. And switch sides, switch my block or my book. Inhale, lift up. Check to see how your deodorant's working today. Breathing, expanding into the right side of the ribs. And then exhale, releasing. And then next, with your prop, I'm going to put it the back or the left side of your hip or the outside of your hip. And then I'm going to take my left hand and just wrap it around my ribs. And then I'm going to twist to my right and then reach around with my right hand and grab that prop. Inhale, press my pelvis down but reach up with the crown of my head to get long. And then exhale, twist, moving to the other side, ensuring that I'm placing my prop around far enough so that I can easily twist to the other side and grab it again. So 2 more times on this side, rotating, placing, inhaling, getting long, and rotating and grabbing it. Change side, so outer edge of my right hip, wrap my right hand around the left side of my rib cage, inhale, get long, really root down with my pelvis, reach up with the crown of my head, twist to my right, and then twist to the other side, and then getting into your shoulder mobility to place the prop back on the right hand side. So I am noticing now that I'm a little bit more limited as I twist to my right for whatever reason, but you won't twist exactly the same from one side to the other. Great, place your block not too far away and we'll come to all fours. So coming to all fours, knees underneath hips, wrists underneath shoulders, bear weight more into your right hand, and then I'm going to move my fingertips out, so rotate my hand out, and then when I can't go anymore, come onto the top of my hand, and then bend the elbow and rotate the fingers in. Come, point out again, I can't go any further, and then I change the position of my hand. So don't overthink it. And if it's a little bit more difficult, you can just lean more into the right hand side and then change directions. So out the top of my hand and then my palm. And then moving the wrist and the forearm and the fingers into different positions. And then change sides. So top of the hand, palm of the hand, fingertips are spreading. And I'm bending my elbow as need be to facilitate the movement. Great, and breathing throughout as well. Great, next grab your block, and then this will be the beginning of our serving T. So I'm going to reach, so I want to feel my shoulder up by my ear here. This is a good thing. You want your shoulder blade to be able to upwardly rotate and climb up onto the outer edge of that upper back, and then lift my arm up as high as I can without tilting my pelvis, and then bend the elbow, rotate the fingertips in towards my torso, and then come into shoulder extension. So without changing my spine here, keep my spine neutral, lift that palm up and extend the arm as much as possible and the shoulder, and then move back through. So that's a taste of that movement with that first arm. And then again, lift up, so shoulder flexion. Make sure you have that left hand underneath that left shoulder. Reach that shoulder up towards the ear. Draw in the chin to give yourself a nice, some nice length at the back of the neck. And then bend the elbow, palm stays up and fingers rotate in, and then lift up. And then move through that a couple of times. Slow is good. You want to feel the movement. You want to map it in your brain, but also in your body. Great. So again, not too far away. Come back into that 4-point position, and then keeping that spine neutral, feel the breath all around your rib cage, all around your spine. Release the belly down, so oftentimes we're holding that belly in. Really let it go here. And then moving in a contralateral way, we're going to lift the right arm and the left leg, and thinking about not lifting as high as possible, but reaching forward and reaching back as much as possible. And come back to settle, and we'll do that a few times. Left arm, right leg. And the front of your hips here are like two headlights on your car. You don't want them tipping or turning side to side. You want them pointing straight down towards your mat throughout these movements. So keeping that pelvis and the lumbar spine nice and stable throughout the movements. Okay, put that right hand down and then reach the left leg out, and then I'm going to point the toes and then just move through a little ankle smush here. So I'm going to pull myself forward and back as I move from the top of the foot to the ball of the foot, and then move in the other direction. So we're mobilizing the toes, we're mobilizing the ankle, moving through dorsiflexion and plantar flexion. And we'll change sides. So reach that right foot long, point the toes, and then same thing, pulling the body forward, pulling the body back, switch sides. As you're getting your foot to evert, invert, and the ankle to plantar flex and dorsiflex. Tuck the toes here, and then we'll just rock back, stretching into that plantar fascia, and rock forward, getting to a little bit more passive wrist extension. And then from here, as you rock back, try to push into the heels of the hands, and then let the knees lift up. We'll do that a couple more times. And then from here, lift up and then continue up into down dog. Pedal the feet a little bit. And then pulse and move all fours into our down dog. We'll do that one more time. Fix my pants here. Rock forward and rock back. Okay, now from here we're going to come to our bellies and start to talk to our posterior chain a little bit. Get that nice and warmed up, and also talking again to our shoulders. So you're going to make kind of like an X. Your forehead's going to come to rest. Tilt your pelvis back, pressing the front of the pelvis down, squeezing the bum, tops of the feet also anchor down. Moving in the same way that we did in all fours, I'm going to keep the forehead down, and I'm going to inhale, lift the right arm and the left leg, taking care not to tilt the pelvis, and then switch sides. Left arm, right leg. And we'll do that a couple more times. You can stay with the head down, or you can start to lift the head up, pressing the opposite hand into the ground to help with the lift, but keeping the ear in line with that lifted arm. We'll do that a couple more times. Draw the chin in if you start to feel the work happening in your neck. Good. Hands underneath shoulders. Tuck the toes. Push back. Move back into your version of down dog, whatever that might be. Could be a static dog, could be walking the dog. And then walk the hands back to the feet. Widen the feet a little bit, soften the knees a bit. Release the head down, and then slowly start to stand up. Stacking your pelvis over your knees, over your feet, and then slowly each bone of your spine stacks on top of each other. So now from our standing position, we want to really sense into our feet. So as you can move your weight forward into the balls of your feet, back into your heels, and then shift over to the left and over to the right. And And then just let your body settle. Knees are soft. You've got the arches of your feet, your pelvis, your rib cage, your skull. So you want a nice stacked position. But you want to feel how you're standing on your feet. So is your weight more in the balls of your feet? Is it more in your heels, left or right? Now, can you really get a sense of an even distribution of weight between your feet? So moving from there, feet are hip socket width apart. Going to inhale and we're going to stand or lift the heels. Back up a bit so I can stay in frame. And you really want to make sure here, as we move through our heel raises, you want to see if you can make the motion up first instead of forward first. So keep the heels or the ankles over the heels, come up, and back down again. Great. Next, from our heel raise, stay back again, lift up, hands can come forward to balance, and then come into a little mini squat. So it could look like this, or you could go a little bit deeper. Come back up, try to stay balanced, and back down again. I'll show you how that looks from the side. So I'm lifting up, counterbalancing with my arms forward, send the knees and the shins forward. You decide when to stop, stay in control of the movement, make sure you can come back out again with control, and back down again. Then tying together the shifting of the weight from the forefoot to the heel, and also that toe squat. Going to shift forward as the knees go, my weight comes to the front of the feet, and as I shift back onto my heels, the toes will lift, my hips will crease, and I send my bum back into space. And then do that a few times. And then you start to notice what you do naturally is as I send my weight back, I counterbalance by sending my arms forward. And as I shift my weight forward onto my toes, my arms come back. So see if we can make that a little bit more dynamic. And nice and flowy. Great. Shake that out. Okay, next, we'll grab our block and we'll go through the serving T. So as we did on all fours, shoulder flexion, block holding steady in front, balancing your favorite drink. It could be tea, it could be booze. Whatever your drink of choice is, that's what we're doing. So flexion here, point the fingers in. You can adjust your body ever so slightly as you start, and then back into shoulder extension. This way and here, and then switch, other hand. So lefty, I'm not a lefty, so this side's a little bit more challenging. Rotate in, elbow out, back into extension, and lift. Good. Now the full movement for serving the T and really getting into shoulder mobility. We start by holding the tray to the outside. You can imagine you're balancing some champagne glasses, some beer, some tea, whatever floats your boat. So we start here, and then feel free to move your body and adjust as we begin, and then later on as we perfect the movement or improve the movement, you can keep the body more still and have the movement coming a little bit more from the shoulder. So we start here, move the block in behind you, over your head, try to keep that palm up, moving into extension, and then back in this way. And then we'll reverse the movement. Block comes in towards the side body, this way, out and over, and here. And we'll switch sides. So again, starting like you're holding your tray of favorite foods, and then, or drinks, depending what you're serving. I started with the opposite way. So we'll start here, the same way we started on the other side. I'm going to start over my head, back around, sweep it in towards the waist, and out. And this is what I did first here. So to reverse the movement, point the fingers in towards the waist, keep that hand flat, sweep it up over the head, and come to rest. Good. We'll come back to find that in a lunge in a minute. So combining the positioning and the anchoring of your feet, proprioception of the feet and the hip with the balancing of the block. So from here, we'll get into some active hip flexion. So weight into the left leg, pull that right knee up, and then without compensating and leaning the torso too far back, interlace your fingers, your hands, and then pull that knee up. Do something with your foot, press into that standing leg, and then try to keep that hip up as much as you can. So this is your active hip flexion. Make fists here to hold and release. And then switch sides and shake it out a little bit. Weight into the right leg. Come to the left toes. So lift up as high as I can go. And now a little bit of help to get up as high as possible. So this is your passive hip flexion. Now contract, do something with the foot, point or flex it. Start to contract in the abdomen, in that hip, and then remove the hands and try to keep that knee up, that thigh up as high as possible. 2, 1, and release. We'll come back to the right leg. So lift it up, not as high as we did before. Put your fingertip on that knee, and then we're just going to stir a pot or a cauldron by keeping the knee steady and then just moving the lower leg, switch sides. So we're getting the hip or the femur here to move in that hip socket, moving through internal and external rotation. And we'll switch sides. Lift that other knee up, not nearly as high as we did before. Release the foot. Keep that knee steady, that knee's not going to move. And then stir the pot. You can be stirring the proverbial pot with your family on a daily basis, or you can actually be cooking. Great. And relax. Now, moving through a lunge that combines a short lunge and active hip flexion. So we'll start with that right leg again. So the knee is going to come up, active hip flexion, step back into a baby lunge, tip the pelvis back, feel the stretch at the front of the hip, lower that knee down. Then shift the weight forward to the right foot and then drive up and see if you can hold and balance. Do that 2 more times. Reach back, drop the knee down as far as is comfortable, and then drive up again. 1 more time. Drop that knee down, and then press up and hold and switch sides. Okay. Active hip flexion. Reach back, not too far. A little bit of a baby lunge. Tip the pelvis back. Press up, hold, and then active hip flexion. So you can make this as dynamic as you like here. But really move through the movements, feeling the stretch in the front of that hip as the front hip is flexing and the back hip is extending. Back up and hold, and 1 more time. Here, and up, and hold. So next, grab your towel or your cushion, and we're going to pad that underneath the back knee. And from a half kneel position, or you can choose to progress this to a lunge where you're just hovering that back knee. So again, our serving T. So from a half lunge, it would look like this. From the side, over, around, and then reverse. Back this way, over, and done. And now from a hover, which is more demanding, tip that pelvis back. Feel the stretch and try to keep the shape, and then we move through the same thing. So keeping your drinks balanced while your gaze is shifting as well, which is more challenging. And back. Hardly spilled a drop. And switch sides. So again, starting from a half kneel, we'll go from here. So starting, tip the pelvis back, so you don't want to have the front foot directly ahead of that knee. You want to be a little bit to the side, a wider base of support, and your heel underneath your knee and your back knee underneath your back hip. So over, rotate it back and out to the side, and then in, up, a little bit dodgier, I'd say, on my left side. I don't think I'd be getting a tip that time. So lift that knee up to hover, or stick with the half kneel. So we start here, rotating up and around. A little bit of a wobble there. Back in, up, and around. Great. Okay, we're going to finish with your decorative pillow or a rolled up towel underneath your right hand side. So we're revisiting that breath and that rib cage mobility that we did at the beginning. So from the side lying position, we're going to do 3 breaths per side. You can use your block underneath your head, arms straight out to the side, hips stacked, knees stacked. So rolled up towel or pillow, and then the top hand is going to come to rest on the top of the rib cage. So as I inhale, I'm going to feel that expansion all around my spine, front, back, sides of my rib cage, and then tubular core. Expand your contraction of your midsection into that space you just created, and exhale. Do that 2 more times. So I inhale, expand, and now contract, hold your breath, and release. 1 more time. Inhale, contract, tubular core. So I fill the space with the contraction, using my midsection, using my breathing muscles, and exhale. And switch sides. So a Coregeous ball works beautifully here. It's an air-filled squishy ball, again by Yoga Tune-Up, but a towel or a cushion will do the same job. So prop underneath the left side of your rib cage. Other hand comes to the top. If you don't have a block here, you can just rest your ear on your upper arm, and we'll do 3 breaths on this side. So I'm going to inhale, expand, hold my breath, fill the space with contraction, creating that tubular core. Exhale, release. 2 more. Inhale, hold my breath, contract, fill the space, become a smaller version of myself. Exhale, almost till you feel like you're going to cough. Last time, inhale, expand, hold your breath, contract, tubular core, and relax. Exhale. So last thing, we will recheck. Come to standing or seated. I like standing because we can revisit our feet. We can feel the pressures in each feet, feel whether it's balanced, feel whether there's been a shift, and feel how you can access your center over your arches, your pelvis, your rib cage, your skull. Next, you can wrap your scarf around your rib cage, or hands can just come again to either side in that C shape, thumbs at the back, fingers at the front. Breathing through your nose, inhale. Feel the expansion all around your rib cage, front, back, and sides, and then exhale. Release. Feel that rib cage depress. Feel the ribs come down to that imaginary belt buckle or the front of your pelvis. And I hope you can feel, as I do, that I have a better felt sense of expansion, of breath, and just of access to a better breath. So I hope you enjoyed the class. And so today was balance your breath and your T. And you can take any of those moves that we did today and condense them into a short practice, which is awesome for your breath, your shoulder mobility, or for your standing balances. See you next time.